You know how you have those people that they know they're in the wrong, but they're gonna try to say all this random bullshit to make it seem like they're not the person in the wrong. And the more words they say end by having the last word, they feel like they're vindicated and justified for any wrongdoings, wrong actions that they did. That's Caitlyn. You seen the way that Devin was smirking at the end of the episode and just letting her talk. Yeah, exactly. Because there's nothing else that needs to be said. You just let them talk, because at the end of the day, your silence and your smirk lets them show their ass more. Is Devin innocent? All of this? No. Because Devin, what was you doing trying to get all up in her face? Hey guys, it's your girl Victoria, back to you with another review for Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 17, called Breakthroughs and Betrayals. Wow, ain't no real betrayals here, Devin, because you had nothing to stand on for the most part of this relationship. Okay, so we picking up where we left off last week with Felipe downstairs with the fellas, trying to hug up on him and stuff. Him looking in distraught, because Tori maybe have low-key, high-key broke up with him, right? Then you have the girls finally going over to Tori, probably because the producer was like, yo, go check on Tori since y'all just talking here for like an hour and a half now. And, she explains to them, her side or whatever. So they all have her back. And, Felipe is saying, she has to accept him for him and not care what others think. And, I'm just kind of like, Felipe, at this... So if that's your thinking, Felipe, so that means you'll be okay if Tori was a hoe and everybody thought Tori was a hoe, and Tori accepted from everybody that she was a hoe, and just putting out there that she enjoys having sex with multiple men. So you'd be okay with that, and said that in your face and to everybody else. You'd be okay with that. Per your words or the way you're reacting, you would. Okay, so I hope you find someone who's a whore like you, so you guys could be both whores together, individually or together. Just have orgies all over the place. So you need to find you in female form and just, have wild sex with any and everybody. That's it. I mean, that's what he wants. He doesn't mind that. So that's the exact person that needs to be with him. So he could also be that person for them too. Okay, so then... Caitlyn goes to talk to Felipe, and Sean sits down and adds his little 2 cents. Felipe not understand at this point. There's no need to. Everybody drinking, okay? Everybody drinking the whole weekend. There's no point to try to have a reasoning with people who may be under the influence and not only alcohol. Probably, I can't say this for certain. But, there might be other underlying substance abuse going on. At this point, even someone who's just, maybe under the influence of just alcohol, there's no point of reasoning with them while they're not sober. Which was kind of like the whole course of this episode. So, we then meanwhile having Devin and Nikki outside talking about, his relationship and her relationship, or more so his relationship. We don't care at this point no more. At least I don't. And then we move on to Felipe doing a video diary saying that, he just keeps effing up and, he feels like a bad person. Do you really? I don't think you do. But, we'll just let you say whatever you need to say. So then we see him sleeping on the couch. Tori sleeping in the bed. And, next morning, actually, no. Before the next morning, then we have Caitlyn doing a video diary saying, it's 2 a.m. or almost 2 a.m. Devin's just now going in the shower. And, she's trying to show physical intimacy, giving him the green light. And, she doesn't know what else to do. He's not picking up on the cues. But then later on, we come to find out that she didn't even tell Devin that he had the green light until probably that night after he got out the shower. And when she addressed it, because the next morning as Devin's cooking for everybody, Caitlyn is talking with Michelle and Cameron about her and Devin bickering the night before in regards to their intimacy. And he's like, she doesn't know how much more clear she can make it. But it's like, Caitlyn, you're not making nothing clear. How are you rubbing on someone's back and that's supposed to tell them that you want it? And it's like, you've been making sure there's no room for any intimacy the whole process. Per Devin's words, y'all haven't kissed since the honeymoon. What part of physical intimacy is a rubbing of the back or a hand on the shoulder when you're in Publix with other people, not even behind camera? It's supposed to make him think just because now y'all on the couples retreat, that's the green light to do anything intimate. No, because the fact that you veered away from that intimacy, the whole process, now you're going to have to work to bring it back or try to gain some type of intimacy. Not that it was really there to begin with, but to expound on it, to make it grow. You're the one who stopped any of it from continuing, from growing. So you need to then be that person to initiate to make it grow. And not by putting your finger on his back, by doing a little this or, touching his arm. That ain't doing shit. You need to kiss him, and not even kiss. We're talking about make out. We talking about make out. Like, again, I even told you last review recap that, you shouldn't have to do all that to show intimacy. Like, you don't have to go all the way, but like, show some signs you're interested. And anybody could rub on someone's back. That ain't really doing shit. Okay? But, if you kiss them, but like actually kiss them, made out with him, slip a little tongue in there, maybe he might be like, wait, hold on. You getting into your boy? That's what he probably would have thought. But rubbing the back ain't doing shit. And you're only doing it for 2.5 seconds anyway. So that's not telling us anything. Like, you trying to say green light for sex? And you think rubbing the back is going to do that? You sound like the guy who slipped into the bed once his wife done fell asleep an hour or two ago and tries to rub her back, trying to insinuate like, yeah, I'm ready now. No, it ain't. If it ain't doing shit for the female, it's definitely not gonna do shit for the man. Like, you should know you need to be more bolder than that, and maybe just verbalize you wanna do it, like you did that night when he finally found out that he had the green light. So, anywho, I guess Cameron, even though he already let the cat out the bag about what Mecca done said to Michelle, but he's not gonna be the one to tell it nobody else. He'll tell his wife, but he's not gonna be, gossipy to tell another female. So he gets up so Michelle can tell Caitlyn what Mecca done said. And, they both agree how they need to tell Belle about it. So we then get to Cam and Michelle going on a date, Deb and Caitlyn going on a date too. Then, we see that there's tension between Felipe and Tori, and, we have Adam and Marissa going upstairs to get ready for their date. And then we see Mecca and Belle at the winery. And Mecca tells us that, he recognizes that, she's always coming to his defense. And he says he's not deserving of her. Yeah, we could have told you that a long time ago, Mecca. Like, you ain't saying nothing we don't know. Like, you could have kept that whole conversation to yourself. Like, you could have, like, we're happy you're just not realizing you don't deserve Belle Jolie. But it's already too late at this point. I mean, she loves your ass. We're still trying to understand why, for real. But at this point, right in time right now, we understand she's gonna stick beside you, Mecca. Annoyingly to us, but congratulations that you're starting to realize you're not even fully there yet, Mecca. You're really not, but congratulations on starting that process of understanding that you have a real gem on your hands, and you're doing a terrible job at containing that gem, of taking care of that gem. What's the word? I feel like I want to say the word, but But we then move on to Felipe and Tori talking in the bedroom. They end up cuddling, and I guess they're going to try, because he says he really likes her, and she tells us in a confessional that she really likes him. And I'm like, I guess, but I why? Anyway, we then get to Cam and Michelle go horseback riding. Sean and Nikki FaceTime each other. Sean tells us, he's starting to miss Nikki Lil B. Felipe and Tori, they do archery, and then Adam and Marissa go bike riding. Dev and Caitlin, they go sit on some rocks and talk about their communications and relationships, and he's finally starting to express his boundaries somewhat and deal breakers and whatnot. And I'm just like, a little too late, Devin, but I guess. Then we get to dinner time, and I guess they're making steaks, and Cam lets us know he likes his steaks medium rare. Ew. I mean, I like mine's medium personally. So I guess medium rare is not too much far off from medium. But once you go to the rare, it's just like, so you like chew. You don't just like a melted steak, you like a little chewy. Okay. But then Devin talks to some of the guys about just not finding out that he had the green light, because she never told him he had the green light until when they was bickering back and forth that night before, And meanwhile, Caitlin's talking to some of the girls about, she's doing her best or whatever. And I'm just like, Caitlin, if this is the best you can do, my gosh. No wonder it never worked out with the last relationship. I don't know what she's been through. She don't tell us that. She only tells Devin that to the extent where he understands. But, I mean, I don't know. There's no understanding for understanding how someone can be how Caitlin is. Like, at this point in time, you just don't like him. It's not about being a slow burn, because as we can see later on in the episode, you're not a slow burn with Mecca, and he not even your man. He a whole, and I would assume at this point you guys consider y'all, peers, y'all friends. So I would assume you experience Belle Jolie as a friend, Caitlin, and the fact that you're allowing Mecca to insinuate inappropriateness with you in front of your husband and in front of his wife, after he done said what he said, and that you found out about what he said about his wife, is very absurd to me. Talking about you doing the best you can do, that's pretty sad. That's the best you can do. That's very sad. I'm very trying to understand why you came on the damn show to begin with, but I mean, from the way it's seeming like Devin applied for this show and you were recruited or something, because this is not making sense. You are not making sense. I can be fair and agree that Devin doesn't do some things in the best way and expressing his frustrations, as we see later on in the episode. But however, Caitlin, for majority of the commonality of the issues that you guys have, you are the common denominator, Caitlin. So, yeah. So then we move on to the actual dinner, right? Am I getting that? No. Before that, Michelle, Nikki, and Belle Jolie talking, and Michelle tells Belle about what Mecca said about her. So Belle then takes a jab at Mecca. Thank God, finally something. Belle, she says she don't care for the painted nails, but it's like you don't see her saying something. Well, you just said something, so I mean, understandably so. Not saying that you were wrong to say what you said, Belle, because we were all questioning those painted nails, but nonetheless, you was going to move forward, because at the end of the day, just because he does something you may not necessarily care for does not mean you can't like the person, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, and you understand that. Does Mecca understand that? No, he doesn't. Got a long way to go, actually, but then I guess that's when Nikki wants to empathize and express how Sean said, and I did say it the opposite way in my last recap, but that he said she's a 10 in Seattle but a 7 in New York. And Michelle just wants these girls to stand up. I understand, Michelle, but the way you're going about it and the way you're talking about going about, you need to relax. And everybody's been saying it about you and Cameron, and I wasn't seeing it, but this episode I saw it. Y'all think y'all the birthday. Y'all not the birthday. Y'all have y'all flaws too. And not saying that's not salvageable, but it's like, don't make it seem like y'all perfect, because y'all far from it. Because let's see how long you're going to be able to obtain this, keeping Cameron up without eventually feeling depleted or, not regretful, but resentful of having to keep up the relationship or the facade of what might be of a sort of a relationship. Michelle. But anyway, so we then get to the group dinner, and I guess Felipe and Tori go first. They're working through their issues, and then we have Mecca and Belle, and they don't really bring up the boob comment. But when we get to Nikki, of her admitting she misses Sean a little bit, and the comment of what he said, because Belle Jolie is just like, as far as Sean, is definitely a hell no for her. And it's like, Belle, you can't be saying Sean is a hell no for her, because as we see in the next coming episode, you are holding back tears because right before decision day y'all have to separate for that night, and you're still kissing on him and going through with the relationship. So for you to say hell no to Sean and Nikki, I hope you should really be saying that to yourself for Mecca and his absurdityness. At least Sean be pursuing Nikki, even though he doesn't do it in the best way. At least he wants, and showcasing he wants, Nikki. Whereas every which way turn, Mecca's not showing he wants you in that sense. It seems like he wants you more as a friend versus a lover. So I hope you also feel the same way towards Mecca, even though she makes a whole grandiose speech about, this, that, and the third. I can't say it word for it because I didn't write it down. Not saying that it wasn't important, but it's just like, I can't write down something of importance when it's not showing that it's important to you in your relationship, when you're showing that you're probably still going to give this nigga a chance. But, we see Mecca kind of having his wheels turning, his brain of realizing, oh, wait, is she talking about me? Because it seems like she's talking to Nikki, but implying something else that might be in regards to me. Is that a guilty conscience, Mecca? Seeming a little bit. And then we have Michelle, giving her 2 cents. But, Nikki is standing 10 toes down, and Felipe is agreeing with Nikki. And I think this is the moment where this is not the moment yet. I'm a little slow to the game. I'll tell you the moment when I realized, like, oh, I think everybody was right about Michelle and Cameron. So then we move to Mecca asking Caitlyn if Belle's speech is about him, because, he's never seen that attitude and demeanor from her before. So this is why I put in my comments, wow, he has a brain. But yeah, Mecca, I'm questioning why you went to Caitlyn to ask this instead of going to your wife first to, question why she's acting weird. You had to get somebody else 2 cents in, and specifically Caitlyn. Interesting. Because that begins the whole domino effect of you just gearing and gravitating towards Caitlyn. Putting your chain on her. Why are you not putting your chain on Belle Jolie? Okay, so then everyone's sitting in the living room to play a game that seems like Marissa curated up. So everyone sits down for this game except for Belle Jolie and Mecca. He pulls her to the side so they could talk. Belle Jolie doesn't necessarily bring out what he done said, but she's like, I know what you said. So that's all you need to know. So understand my mindset right now, the mind frame that I'm in right now. And I'm just like, why are we not being direct and saying what he said? Is it, or maybe it's like a trigger for her or something? I'm not sure. So that she can't really necessarily say the words, because maybe that would bring out the tears, because she does cry to us in the confessional about how pissed she is of what he said. So I don't know, maybe if that may have been a trigger for her, maybe, I don't know, from some past trauma or dealing with not feeling like she's enough, because she did make mentions of, guys before always feeling like they have to humble her. So I don't know, like I said, if maybe that might have been a past insecurity that might have been triggered by what he said. So maybe that's why she can't verbalize it necessarily directly in that moment. But I wish she would have, because let him know what he done said. Just like you can let him know what he said all the other times. I wish she could have expressed that. Like, that's not cool. And then also bring up his nails. Like, I don't say nothing about your nails, so he can understand, like, yo, you not perfect by a long landslide, sir. For you to be like, any person who can down talk another person, in their words, not malicious, but it's like, bro, you know what you're doing. You grown enough to know how that can affect someone, and you thinking that you're telling these guys, you thinking they're your friends, that they don't have wives that they're more closer and connected with, versus their friendship with you, that they're not going to tell their wives? Like you would tell your wife about what someone done said about somebody else's wife, about their wife. You don't think they're going to tell those girls, and you don't think those girls are not going to tell the person that it was about? Like, let's be fucking for real here, right? So I guess, you know, she gonna not put it under the rug, so to speak, but I guess kind of say like, hey, we're gonna have to talk about this later, I guess. I don't know, she doesn't specify that, but you know, he tries to kiss on her, give her a kiss and whatnot. And, you know, meantime, while they're doing the little activity in the living room, we see Nikki trying to keep checking back to check on, you know, Belle and Mecca. Then we see and hear Cameron and Michelle doing the same thing. Michelle whispering to Cameron, excuse me, so sorry, about, oh, you know, they're talking about it right now. And that was the moment I was just like, wow, everybody was right. Cameron and Michelle really think they the birthday, and they're not the birthday. They're because they not. Because I'm sorry, you can never be a Woody and Amani from season 11. I'm always gonna talk about them because I love those folks. I love them so much. You know, they think they are. They ain't though. I guess they're the couple of the season. I'll give them that. You're probably the couple of the season, even though there's flaws, but no one's perfect. As far as the birthday, for, you know, like, y'all really putting yourself on some high standards when it's like, it's not really high standards. It's just these past seasons, like the past 5 or probably more seasons, it's just been downhill. So it's like you were, I guess, the first, like, oh wow, what a breath of fresh air to a lot of us, but y'all need some self-reflection. Y'all really do. But anyway, we then move on to the question of, like, I guess, you know, since Mecca and Belle Jolie came down to play the game, I guess Belle had to answer a question of if she had to choose another partner, who would she choose in the group. She chooses Tori, and I think, is it Caitlyn or Tori and Marissa? But I guess, I don't know if somebody asked Mecca to answer the question, but he ends up answering the question himself. And he said Michelle and then Caitlyn. And what I'm taking from this is probably Michelle's personality. I don't know, or maybe a mixture of Michelle and Caitlyn. And I said, there it is. There it is. Why'd you answer the question, Mecca? Even if someone did ask you that question, you should have done a Felipe and said Belle. And it's always gonna be Belle. Always have been, always will be Belle. This is not something you answer, Mecca. And this is shit I be talking about. This is what everybody be talking about, of you just doing the most. This is not even a self-sabotage at this point. This is just you just being a dick, really. So after that, we see Caitlyn. You know, before we get to what done happened later on, I just want to say, for Caitlyn to, like, anytime Devin says, you know, like, oh, you know, rubbing my back, you know, is not going to make him think like, oh, I want to fuck you. And she's like, oh, language, I don't like when you use that language. Ma'am, he used that language with you since day one. Since the fucking wedding. He's like, I'm fucking ready to do this shit. Or like, fuck yeah. And you match energy, and it was like, yeah, let's fucking do this. So what the fuck are we talking about? Now all of a sudden, like, you don't like him doing that? Because you know why? Because you're annoyed with the motherfucker. Like, you don't like him and you don't want to be with him. So now everything he does is annoying, even though you do that same exact shit. Y'all was on one accord day one. Now all of a sudden it's like he talks like this and stuff, and you don't like when he talks like that. Like, he'll say something like, oh, you know, that can lead people to want to cheat, and you's like, oh, I don't like it when you say it like that. Or whenever he says, you know, something about the threesome, like he was joking, and she's like, oh, I don't like it when you do that. But you were just literally laughing with them when they said you were the person most likely to go to a whole different partner. And he was kind of looking like, oh, he didn't like that, but you were just like, oh, just go along with it. It's just a joke, it's a game. But he's trying to do that same thing with you, and you're just like, no, you're just, because you're annoyed with him. And I wish you would have addressed that. You can say he's such a great person, oh, but he's just not the right person for you, what you said at the end. But it's just like, could we not have said that from the jump, so we don't have to deal with all this bullshit of you being a dick to him? So that's why you and Mecca are two peas in a pod, because y'all both are dicks to your spouses. Fuck we talking about here? So we then have Felipe just being happy that he's out the hot seat, and then we have Kaylin pulling Mecca outside to talk, and they seem like they're vibing, because I'm looking at the body language. I'm like, why is Mecca sitting on the table or whatever? She's sitting in front of him, and his legs kind of a little wide and apart and shit. She's like, the way they're positioned, I'm like, this is not giving appropriate body language of citation. Because when she was talking with Felipe, that seemed more of an intense, like, yo, what you doing to my girl Tori? And their body language gave more so, you know, she's just trying to sit down and like hear him out type of thing. But your body language with Mecca was giving very much flirty vibes. And, you know, everybody inside is looking. You got freaking antagonizing ass Adam saying like, what the hell they doing out there? That's not looking too good. So now you're talking into Devin's ear, because he's sitting next to him and putting in his head. Devin's already feeling some type of way, mind you. But now with Adam's added commentary, now Devin's really like, what the fuck is going on? And, you know, like I said, Felipe just happy he's not in the hot seat. So now he's back to his, you know, wild laughter. And I still think it's funny. I still think it's like a genuine laughter. So that's why it's like, I don't, you know, think too much of it, even though some people might be annoyed by it. But, you know, they're just laughing and vibing, smiling at each other, genuine smiles, mind you. And then we get throughout the night, we see at like 2 a.m., you know, they're on the couch, you know, she's like, Caitlin's on the couch with Belle Jolie, and then Mecca's like messing with her, not even his wife, but with her. And I know Belle Jolie's peeping game, but, you know, Belle Jolie is a more, you know, she got more demure, but, you know, she been having sex, so she's released. But, you know, Devin got some pent up tension. Maybe that's why he going to the shower at 2 a.m, because he got to release maybe in the shower. Not saying that's what he's doing, but, you know, you never know. People do that in the shower. So he may have to go release. So he got a lot of pent up, you know, sexual frustrations, relational frustrations. So, you know, and he's seeing she being more engaging with Mecca and his advances of flirtations, even though, you know, he may not boldly be flirtatious, but like, you know, we then see another clip of him putting his chain on Caitlyn. And, you know, now Devin's really like, yo, what the fuck? And then so he addresses her. Mind you, she's sitting next to Mecca. Caitlin's sitting next to Mecca on the couch. And you have Devin sitting on the other side of that section or whatever. Belle Jolie's sitting behind Devin. And maybe she just came to sit next to him because, you know, obviously he's addressing Caitlyn while Caitlin's sitting next to Mecca. And she's probably, like I said, I'm sure she peeps game because Belle Jolie ain't no stupid girl. And, you know, they kind of go back and forth, and, you know, it ends up with Caitlyn telling Devin, you know, shut the fuck up. So Devin said that's disrespectful. Mind you, they've been drinking. But in this moment, Devin's like, you know, that's disrespectful. Puts his hand in her face and kind of gets in her face also. So this is the moment where I'm just like, mind you, I don't give a fuck about Caitlyn. I don't care for her, what she got going on, how she tries to make it seem like Devin's a problem when everybody and she know she's a problem. But that's why her and Courtney are two peas in a pod. From what I hear, they hang out now and stuff. Good for them. You know, she could be added on the, you know, men hate crew or whatever the fuck that her and her friends got going on. Caitlyn and her friends, you know, not wanting to be around their husband, whatever. But that's their prerogative. So it's just like, while I can't stand Caitlyn for shit, however, I'm going to be fair here and look at Devin crazy as fuck for getting in her face and also putting your hand in her face. Now, I can't say whether or not I don't think Devin was going to do nothing bad. Like, I can say from that other night when he was drunk and wanted to give her a hug and she just didn't want to be around him. Me personally, I didn't take that he was going to do something, but I can understand why Caitlyn could be triggered by, you know, his unsoberness. But in this case, because she said like, shut the fuck up, and he put his hand in her face and, you know, got in her face, now we're getting to a point where you're being disrespectful. Like, I can understand you felt disrespected when she did that, but by you doing what you did, that's not solving the issue. That's you being disrespectful in turn. And the fact that you're a man and she's a female, Devin, back the fuck up. just because I can't stand Caitlyn or Courtney doesn't mean I want them to get beat up. Even though I feel like Courtney would beat up the man for real. Like, for being like, I was in fear of Nick's danger. But in this moment, Devin, I was kind of in fear of Caitlyn's danger, because like that's a line, that's a boundary you done crossed, and making someone feel safe. Like, this is one of those moments where if she were to say I did not feel safe in that moment, I'm gonna have to give her that, because the way you reacted, that's not security, Devin. That's fucked up. Like, I hope you can what's the word? I don't know the words I be wanting to say, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. And like, if Caitlyn wanted to talk more of how he made her feel unsafe the next morning and all that stuff, then maybe I could, understand. That's what she could have led on. But then when we have the next morning, because he ends up just getting up forcefully and just walking away. The next morning, him and her talking in bed, and him saying he's fucking done, and he's not gonna deal with her bringing her trauma into the relationship, and he's not gonna deal with that bullshit. I'm just like, good for you, Devin. I just wish you came to this realization a lot sooner, instead of something like last night happening for you to get to that realization. But okay, cool. And then for her to like go on this whole spiel, blah blah bullshit about how he is and how he's good as a person but not as a lover. Like, man, shut up. Like, she was going through this whole spiel. He's smirking. I'm smirking along with him. Like, all right, Caitlyn, you want your 2 minutes of making it seem like he's the problem? Okay, go ahead. Because at this point, when you have that discernment of like, I can understand how you are, I can understand how you acting right now, and how you're going to try to show up to make it seem like I'm the problem, I'm going to let you have that. Because at the end of the day, I already know from what the footage will show, I'm not the problem. You're the real problem. I may not be perfect, but at the end of the day, I tried. Devin could walk away knowing he did try his best. Because he sat beside you, not releasing, not even getting a kiss, and being excited about you putting your funk ass legs on his motherfucking lap. And at the end of the day, he can walk away knowing he did his best, even though he may not have portrayed himself the best the night before. Versus you not even trying your best, but wanting to portray and say to us that, you did the best. No, the fuck you didn't. That's where the episode ends. I'm just like, she talking all this talk. Can we be done? Can y'all go? You go home, he go home. Like, be done, bro. We tired of this bullshit. At least I know I am. Like, we're done here. We're done. Sayonara. Happy it didn't work out. I'm just not happy that it took this long for y'all to realize it didn't fucking work out. I guess next episode, decision day. I need a break. I need to go eat something, because these people got my nerves worked the fuck up. Whatever. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Damn episode. I need to go take a breather. Okay, we definitely watching the next episode tonight. But I definitely need to go gain some energy, because they just drained me from this damn hour. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. Okay, be easy breezy lemon squeezy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.